Welcome. Thanks for coming to this Realtor panel. Prospecting in a shifting market. We're all looking for tips, tricks, how to, and what worked for these guys, right? Okay, well, Trisha Hayes is our moderator, so I'm going to let her take the floor. But bring your questions.
If not, we have questions. But good afternoon. This afternoon we have Philip and Melissa with us. Both of them have been in real estate 7+ years, I think for Philip, and 10 for Melissa here. Each bringing kind of a uniqueness to the market, really, and what they do and how they have prospered over the years. And so that's what we're really going to kind of, hopefully you guys will ask some questions, but we do have some to kind of start off, but each kind of bring their own uniqueness and some of the tools that we even just use right here on a daily basis. So with that, one of the questions would be for Melissa, what can you contribute your success to?
I think the biggest thing that you can do is authentically connect with the people around you. So find out what they need and then help them. And it might not be necessarily like real estate related, but if they look at you as somebody that they can trust, then you're going to be their trusted realtor for the rest of forever. So that's been it. And since I'm here for social media, it's important to like mirror that in your social media as well.
So Melissa does focus a lot on social media. What kind of platforms do you use?
Instagram is my biggest one. I've like kind of tinkered with TikTok, but it's not where it's not where I am, and it's not where my market is. And everything that I do on Instagram, I share on Facebook. Facebook has the highest engagement of any of the platforms. So if you're looking to start posting, Facebook's probably where you're going to get the most hits.
Philip, what do you contribute your success to?
I think trust is a big one as well. So just building trust with the people you're working with and the people you're engaging with, whether it be in a transaction or, just being somebody that, sounds knowledgeable enough when you're talking to them that they can trust you later on. And then I think treating every client that you have like they're the best client that you could have. Whether it's a $150,000 transaction or a $750,000 transaction. They're going to be your clients down the road, and they're going to be the people that are going to refer you to others.
Now, Philip also does a lot more of the marketing aspect, more so than social media, so.
I do not do very much social media. I'm on it because I have to be, but it's not, I don't post every week. I don't post 3 times a week. Whenever I have a new listing, I'll post it up there. If I have an open house, I might, do a post. But I, prefer to engage face-to-face or on the phone, or, I send a lot of notes and letters and, just handwritten notes. I'm a little old-fashioned, but I try and, connect personally with people as opposed to online. I let my kids do all their Facebook stuff. I'm not into that. So,
What kinds of pieces do you send out?
It depends. I think we do a lot of local neighborhood farming type thing. So if we have a listing in our area that we focus on, we'll send out sometimes 2 or 3 postcards on an individual listing. We do a quarterly mailing to our larger sphere of influence, family, friends, past clients, things like that. We do a annual kind of year-end review and next year outlook that we put together. It ends up being a small book that we send to our whole sphere, and it gives them, kind of our take on the market and what we think, has happened, what we think might happen, coming into the next year, and gives us an ability to have somebody, with something in their hand that they can look at for longer than a few seconds. So they might flip through it, they'll see some of our old listings, they'll see some of our past clients. We have done everything from Q&As with lenders, using, a handful of our preferred lenders and providing a small Q&A with each of them, to highlighting one of our past clients, to give it kind of a personal touch. Something that, people, maybe keep around for a week or so and take a look at it a couple times. And we, get continual feedback from people that we don't necessarily expect. It's like, hey, we got your mailer, this is really great, I'm passing this on to somebody. And we always print out enough of that kind of stuff where we can use it at our open houses too. So, in the sphere of influence, just getting it to other people to let them know that, we're experts in the field, and we are providing, more information than just trying to open the door for them.
Now back to kind of the social media part of it. What kinds of things do you post?
I will post anything from, you can do your just solds and your just listed, but you definitely don't need to. I like doing a lot of inspection facts, because then people interact and they're like, oh, I have that problem with my house. Or I really like doing market updates. Right now, everyone is just very intrigued by what's happening with interest rates and inventory. I do a lot of that. You'll always get a lot of hits if you talk about real estate investing and strategies with that. I feel like that's really popular in the social media world right now. And don't be afraid to tell a funny story of something that happened in your real estate day. Like, I don't know, crazy things happen all the time. So don't be afraid to make a post about that.
Fabulous, thank you. Is there anything either of you are doing differently for this year with this weird change in our market for 2023?
I am definitely prospecting more. I'm spending much more time taking people out to lunches, coffees, volunteering, just kind of expanding that personal network. And then I'm posting a lot more on social. Now my goal this week is to expand my TikTok, and it's the back end of business that matters more. So that when you are busy, because you will be, that all of your systems are in place and you're ready to go. And when the market takes off again, because it will one day, then you're prepared and you have everything in place to handle things when you're busy.
How about you, Philip? Anything different?
A little bit of the same, just that personal networking, coffee, lunch, that type of thing. And then, working, I find myself working harder for the clients that I have. There's not enough listings out there for some of the buyers that I have, but some of them are looking for things that are very specific. So, actively going out and finding, some of those properties. And I do that a couple different ways. One is networking with agents in the area. So if you're looking at a specific neighborhood, you can go into the MLS and you can search who's doing business in that neighborhood, find out who has consistent clients, who's listing the most properties, who's bringing the most buyers, finding those types of things and connecting with those agents. And then, doing a search to find the types of properties you're looking for. If somebody wants a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house that's 2,500 square feet in a neighborhood, you can use Realist to narrow down that focus. So you can you can get a mailing list that's going to mail to only properties of a certain size, properties with a certain amount of bedrooms, bathrooms, properties that have, sold, more than 2 years ago. You don't want anything that's maybe a year old because they just bought it. So, you can easily focus in and find 50 properties to send a mailing to that says, I have a buyer that's looking in this area. I think everybody's gotten those postcards at home that says, hey, we'd love to buy your house. You know, half the time you call those up and it's like, well, we don't actually have somebody that, you know, is looking for your house. Well, if you actually have somebody looking for a house in an area, you can talk to those people. I've, you know, out of 50 addresses I've mailed to for one buyer, I've had 3 agents call me up, say that they have somebody that, you know, is willing to show something off market. I've had 2 homeowners tell me that they're willing to let somebody in and take a look. And I've had 3 people reach out to me and say, hey, it was nice to receive your note, but we're not interested in selling. So all 5 of those homeowners that didn't have an agent, you know, are now on my, you know, contact list and have heard from me and will hear from me again. So it's showing my buyers that I'm working, you know, hard for them and providing them a value. And then getting my name out there in the area and maybe I can pick something up down the road with one of these people that don't have an agent.
Is there any questions from the audience before I keep on?
Do you find that with kind of the snail mail mass mailers that it's a similar age demographic that's connecting with you via that way? Because I find the under 35 crowd just throws in the trash.
Not necessarily, no. I mean, I think, yeah, I hear back from retirees and then I hear back from, you know, we've got a number of past clients that, you know, receive our stuff and they don't just throw it in the trash. You know, and, you know, a lot of our mass mailing is gonna be to our sphere of influence. So I think, you know, family, friends are less likely to throw that stuff away anyways. And then, yeah, so I don't think, you know, I think the one, you know, demographic that we probably get the least response on is, you know, mailers to apartment buildings. We do that a couple different times if we have a listing in a condo that is right across the street from an apartment building. Sometimes we'll do a just listed, just sold card or an open house invite to, you know, to those buildings. Or we'll also do a mailer for if we're hosting a buyer's class, you know, targeting, you know, if we're targeting a certain neighborhood that we're already working in, you know, targeting a apartment building and say, hey, we're hosting a buyer's class, you know, this date, and this date, and just getting your name in front of those people. Those, I think, probably get the least amount of response, but, you know, something that's still, you know, just kind of actively, you know, getting our name out.
You tend to do more mailings versus phone calls? Just because like you're on Realist, a lot of times it has do not call, so then you don't have a number, and I think more people have gone to cell phones, so it's harder to come across phone numbers, right?
I do more mailing than phone calls.
Okay.
And if I'm, you know, doing something that's, you know, very specific, like, you know, searching for a house in a neighborhood, I hit them multiple times. So sometimes it might be a postcard, sometimes it might be, you know, a letter addressed to them, and sometimes it's a handwritten note, so.
Okay.
You had a question in back?
If you just do a general mail, let's say, how good is the response? Like, how many calls, let's say, are you likely to get, like, on the, I don't know, 200, 300 pieces? And if it's, do you have to do it repeatedly in order to get the call? Like, a year we're talking, or like what, I guess, what is the response rate?
It's definitely, you know, a repeated type of a situation. Yeah, I think you can do a just listed and just sold card in a neighborhood and you'll never hear back from anybody. But if you are, you know, sending to, you know, 200 addresses continually, you know, through a 6 to 12 month time frame, you know, I think we do have the ability to, you know, probably see 2 or 3 calls directly off of that type of mailing.
I have 2 questions for each of you, one for each of you. Philip, I'm kind of fascinated with your year-end book or mailer that you send out. Is that like a magazine format? Is it just, I mean, how?
It's like a small magazine. It's about this size.
Okay.
You know, so it's, small magazine format, it's probably, anywhere from 6 to 8 pages.
Okay.
Prior to just providing some information on us and, and the market. We'll a lot of times pull, quotes from, local or national economists and things like that, that they might see in the market and things that the general public maybe isn't going to, hear on a regular basis.
And hearing it from you.
Yep.
Gotcha. Do you use LinkedIn at all, or?
I do. But like quarterly.
Okay.
Well, and one of my college professors just reached out and she wants to buy a house. So like I'll go in there and I'll check my messages, but it's not necessarily where I go
Yeah.
primarily. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So for social media question, what is your response if you just do the posts? Are you talking about more like it has to be somebody your sphere of influence, and if they see your post, you're likely to get responses?
Yeah, so for you to get a cold lead from social, you need to find a way to connect with them in person. I'm doing this first time buyer class, post about it on social. That's the only way to convert from cold. But I really like it for my warm and hot leads, for my past clients, especially people with a pending transaction. If you ask them to follow you, then everybody's so excited that they just bought a house. And they'll say, hey, by the way, look at my realtor. She does really cool things on social. So that's kind of the market. But the cold leads, harder. Make sure that you're adding all of your friends and
Do
family.
you also do like advertising as well besides doing the posts or no?
I used to. I'm in Google AdWords. Like that's a whole different sphere. I definitely do a lot of Google ads, but I don't pay for social ads anymore. They change the way that the algorithms work, and you can't pick certain areas to advertise to anymore. You can only do nationwide advertising, so it's not worth your money.
I have a question for both of you. You both mentioned first-time homebuyer classes. Are you doing them online or in person, and how are you getting people to participate?
I haven't done one in a while. We just didn't have time for the past 2 years. I didn't. But we're going to do a few next month, and I like doing them in person. I just feel like the online rate, if someone wants to do an online class, you can do a one-on-one, just do a buyer consult.
Right.
You don't need to advertise that you do those. You can advertise that you do them, but maybe have that Calendly link and people can register a time for you, but I haven't implemented that. I've seen it implemented.
Are you
Our
getting,
group does like first time home buyers, so this will be the second year we do it, and we invite them to the office, free happy hour, socialize, and then we have like a mortgage guy come in, about 5 different people that come in and talk about first time home buying.
and so how are you getting them there? What's your method? And are you getting,
We
used to
are,
get
like,
huge groups, but not anymore,
Last year, we had 8 teens,
Oh,
which is
great.
pretty good. This year, we're having it in 3 weeks, so I don't know how many will show up, but
All right, oh, great.
emails, reach out to your friends, reach out to your friends' kids.
We've had anybody from 0 to 8 attendees at ours, so they're a little smaller. But we use it as, it's also a chance to reach out to our whole sphere of influence. So all of our old clients, receive the invite to pass on to, friends and family that they might know. And as well as, either, social media post or a mailing to a specific area. But, so using it as a touch point for, everything as well.
Okay, thank you.
Do you think, this is for Melissa, do you think it's important to have a separate business social platform than personal?
It depends. I have both. I have personal and business, and I do a lot of co-sharing back and forth, but only my real friends are on my personal one. So, I do have both.
So I have a question for Melissa, because we know we're all thinking it. We all are on social media. How do you start with a video, for example?
The first one's the worst.
Yeah.
It just is. And I do a lot of posts in my car. Like, and again, this is you working on a day-to-day. If you're waiting for a showing, film in your car quick. I know you've got something interesting to say, so just get it on camera. You can do the nice thing and get the good lighting and filters and whatever, but all that matters is what you're doing reflects who you are. So if you have something personalized, great. I've seen a lot of people do a really good job of scripted content with the proper lighting and background and everything too, though. So just whatever's better for you.
I've got a question. I know, Melissa, you made a comment of volunteering. So for both of you, do you see that as a way to really get not only your name out there, but return on, I don't want to say return on investment, but you know, return on your time investment?
I mean, you only have so much free time. Like, are you gonna spend it watching Netflix, or are you gonna go to whatever charity strikes your fancy? So there's just so many different ways to give back, and like the counterpart is, if you're the realtor that's volunteering in this volunteer group, whenever somebody in that group has a house question, they're gonna come to you. They already trust you, you see them on a regular basis, you do consistent volunteering with them, and people like to support that.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to just expand your professional network, right? It's so much easier to expand your social network, you know, out with friends, coffee, you know, happy hour, lunch, things like that. But to, you know, just go out and meet brand new people, and depending on the volunteering you're doing, if you're sitting on a board, things like that, you can, you know, really kind of connect with them on a professional level, and you know, see you know, interact in you know, a real professional setting that's going to allow them to say, hey, that's somebody that I can trust to help me, you know, with that biggest transaction of your life type of situation. So
It's worth the investment.
Worth the investment.
Yep.
So, do you find it fruitful to have a personal and business account? Or is it, because I did both for a while and then I just got rid of my FB private or realtor account because it just, since there was so much crossover, it wasn't anything that wasn't, like I get my one is like my personal friends or whatever, but I'm not really wilding out or anything. So
Yeah.
I kind of like to be the authenticity.
People think I'm wilding out.
You know? It's that like factor of like your persona and then like your business person.
Yeah.
So do you find there's a benefit to having your business account yet? Because I'm on the fence of bringing it back or not.
I think it's nice. So the
Okay.
business account, the purpose of that is for like nurturing those colder leads.
Oh,
Versus like the personal is I share from my work to my personal all the time, because then people are like, oh yeah, she is a realtor.
Sure.
Okay. Versus on the professional one, it's just straight professional,
Right.
and you look like a professional. People will come to you on there.
Sure.
Can I speak to that? So the other thing too, I have both, and I
Okay.
have it on every platform. And the reason why is I've been around for a while, but if you're starting out and you have friends that don't want to see, hey, I'm holding an open, they're gonna stop interacting with you.
Right.
And they're gonna ditch following you, and they're like, I'm sick of looking at this house shit.
Sure.
Pardon.
No, I
And you're
hear
gonna
you.
lose them rather than cultivating, like, you still wanna be a person.
Right.
Yes, you're a realtor and you're always gonna be that, and you have to remember that everywhere you go.
Right.
But you still wanna be yourself and keep your close connections.
Sure.
So it just makes it easier to separate it, and then who wants to follow what helps you learn, like, is this person here for me, or are they interested in house stuff? So
Sure.
it helps you kind of garner the difference.
Okay, that's really helpful because I have an Insta like business account, but I got rid of the Facebook because I was like,
And like, you can't
What?
share funny, inappropriate jokes on your business page.
sure. Well, thank you. That's helpful.
Side note, the MLS Touch we had this morning only posts to your MLS or to your Facebook business page.
Sure.
So if you want to take advantage of that feature, you'll need a business page for it.
Oh, sick deal, thank you.
So next question would be is if we were kind of new in getting into the business in say 3 years or so, and you had about $5,000 to spend on a budget, what kinds of things would you spend it on?
I would take a lot of people out to lunch and coffee. You can spend, like, when you're new, when I was new, I made this mistake. I wasted a lot of money on Google ads, social ads. But what are you advertising? Like, if you're advertising that you're licensed, everybody's licensed. So you're not really setting yourself apart. So take people out to lunch and coffee, do your social media posts to prove that you are the local expert. I also added a bunch of like really good people on social right now on my story. So if you guys go and follow me, you can go and follow all of them and kind of get good ideas for what to post consistently. Because we all have different personalities, and if you find someone in there that jives with you, you can kind of copy them with your little remix.
Yeah, same, lots of lunch, lots of coffee. So making those connections with, the people that you already know, that already trust you in some other facet of your life, and letting them know what you're doing. If you're, I had, if you're doing this as a second career, all those people in your old career are people that you need to stay in touch with. You can't just leave that behind. You have to, go back to that and let all those people know that, this is what you're doing now, and stay connected with them. And then I would spend money on stamps, because there's a lot of people that that are in your sphere of influence that you're not gonna go have lunch with. There's aunts, uncles, cousins, family members, and colleagues that know you but don't know that you started a new career. So you can't, take them all out to lunch, and you can't take them all out to coffee. So letting them know what you're doing, even if it's just, that introduction letter saying, hey, this is what I'm doing now. At least getting that out there to them so they can see it. And then, calling them up and letting them know as well. And then I like something with my logo on it, because then when I'm out with somebody, whether it be, personal or professional, or just grabbing a cup of coffee, people know what I'm doing. So if they want to ask me about it, they can. If I'm, out with friends, I might have just come from a showing, or I might be on my way to a showing. And it's just kind of that reminder of, even if you're not having to, even if you're not talking about real estate and you're not discussing it, it's that reminder to those people that, hey, this is what you're doing. And we're in a business where you're always working, so Saturday and Sunday, you might be skiing with your kids, but you're still, gonna take that phone call because you have an inspection contingency that expires today. So you're gonna, take that, call, and you're still, in the process of doing your business. So let everybody know that all the time.
When you guys say lunch and coffee, how do you narrow down who you take to lunch and coffee?
This is like, so I always work off my cold, warm, and hot lists. There's people who are probably cold, but let's say they just got engaged.
Oh, okay.
Invite one of those out. There's different life changes that you can notice, like, oh, you're going through a divorce, let's get drinks, and let's talk about it. And so, like, those are the connections because somebody who's going through a big life change is probably moving. That's how I narrow it down.
I'm just kind of more of a scroll through the phone and just pick somebody. Who haven't I talked to yet? And sometimes it's taking that time, we're in our cars a lot, and, that's time when you can be, making that phone call. It's really easy to get, sucked into the music or, talk radio, but, you can spend that time, if it's 20 minutes between one showing and the next, just scroll through your phone and hit that call button and talk to somebody that you may not have talked to for a while, and then you can see if that person wants to have coffee.
Of your $5,000, how many business cards do you think you go through in a year?
I don't like business cards. I say, you know what, I don't really do business cards. Let me get your number. And
Smart.
you send the contact card.
I have a lot of business cards. I go through a lot. I still remember my first business card when I was 19 years old. So I like business cards, and I slip them into whenever I'm sending out a note or a letter, even if it's if it's a touch with a past client, I slip in a business card. They probably already have one, but if they have somebody that they know, they can pass it along.
So I'm listening to both of you. What I'm hearing is that you're very consistent in what you do. If you do social media, you're consistent in that. Print, lunches, whatever, you're consistent with that. Given the topic of a shifting market, are you doing anything different?
I think I'm getting back to what I was doing when I was slow. So like when the market was crazy and you're showing houses all day, every day, I just didn't have the energy to do these things. So it's important to hone in on these skills because you should focus on getting a list of 12 different sources where you can get leads. And maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's mailings. All of these are good sources, so just make sure that you're keeping these avenues of incoming leads thriving.
Same thing, going back to, the basics, I think, and, for the past 2 years, there hasn't been as much time for coffee. Going back to some of that stuff, and then, like I mentioned, when there's nothing on the market, try and go find it. It can seem fruitless, but, you're making those connections that are gonna be leads down the road. So I think, from, like I talked about that one specific neighborhood that you're looking at, we've had investors looking at condo buildings. It's like, hey, I'd love to have, another unit in this building. That's 200, addresses that you can send to that says, I have a buyer, that's looking for something. So gives you that opportunity to reach out to all those people.
When you reach out to a neighborhood, how often do you send stuff?
Well, if it's for working for a specific buyer, I'm probably, sending out one round of things and seeing how many people I hear back from. And then I'll, if I didn't find what I'm looking for, then, another, 6 weeks down the road, I'll send something else, but I'll send something different. So it's not gonna be the same thing every time. So if it was, kind of a typed form letter the first time around, it's gonna be, a postcard the second time around, or a handwritten note, maybe to fewer addresses because that starts to make your hand hurt. But, but I think, and just making sure if anybody reached out to you off of that, then you're sending them a note and saying, hey, thanks for, connecting. I understand you're not looking at selling right now, but, down the road, if you are, give me a call.
Okay, then I have, go ahead.
So you talked about being knowledgeable, right? So that question you get, how's the market? What are your favorite resources to have that information in your site?
I use SPAR market statistics all the time. I do.
Okay.
I listen to Marketplace with NPR. We were just talking about this. But no, if you go in and like those notifications you get from the MLS, that's a great resource too. Yeah, talk with your colleagues. A lot of times, like if you have a transaction coordinator, they run statistics of like what offers are getting accepted. See if they have those statistics ready for you.
You know, any of the Realtor Association news links, you know, whether it be, you know, national or local, you know, just taking a look at those every once in a while and say, well, what's the news that's come out in the past, you know, 2 weeks or the past month? Anything real estate related that is on the local news or Star Tribune or Pioneer Press, you should read it and you should have your own take on it. A lot of times they're just, you know, putting something in there from the New York Times or putting something in from the Washington Post. That might not relate to our market. So, but that's what your clients are reading. So if somebody's reading something that says, this is what's going on with real estate, you know, you should read it and find out, well, is this actually what's going on here in the Twin Cities? Because if it's not, you need to let them know. They might think, hey, this market is terrible. It's a buyer's market. Prices are crashing, but we're not seeing that here. And you can, you know, you can go in and you can find out why. Why aren't we seeing that here? Well, we didn't have the spike in prices that, you know, every place else saw. We saw prices go up a lot, but we didn't have 3 years of 20% year-over-year increase like Austin, Texas, or, you know, half of Florida. But we saw, you know, 5 to 10%, you know, year-over-year increases. Well, that's going to translate to a more balanced market when things start to go on the downturn. So just having that information to counterpoint what somebody's reading in our local media if it doesn't actually hold true for what our local market is.
Go ahead.
Do either of you or any of you send out a newsletter to past clients and prospects?
Yes, you can definitely send out a newsletter. It's much easier with email. You already have their email.
That's what I
signed.
meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, definitely do that. That's a great way to do monthly updates, weekly updates, announce your new listings. That's a great tool.
And do you use a MLS or which platform do you use that you like the best?
I use KP Core.
Okay.
It's, yeah.
I don't send out a newsletter, not monthly or quarterly or anything. So yeah, no newsletter, but you know, I would say the quarterly mailings that we might send out are, you know, just varied as far as information, but yeah, no weekly or monthly newsletter to hit somebody's inbox.
What vendor do you use for the mailings?
We do a lot of them just ourselves, and I'm trying to think of who our printer is right now. Well, I mean, we use our 10-year-old for stamps. And if you set yourself up as an S corp, you can pay him.
Exactly.
Put it into a 401.
Fabulous. Is there, for anybody that would be new into the business, is there any type of routine for either of you that you follow on a daily basis? I know that's one of the hardest things for newer realtors is, now that I'm licensed, like what should I be focused on? Is there a routine that either of you have daily that you still maintain over the years?
It's very hard to do a routine just because this job is like very hard to schedule. But if you make sure that you do your goals every single day, then that's what you need to do. So I like to do at least one post on social every day and make at least 10 touches. So whether that's a email, a call, or setting like an appointment with somebody. And then on Thursdays, I like to set my open houses for the weekend because that's when new listings come on the market. So you can get your fresh pick of the litter.
I don't have a daily routine, but I think the three main things that I do as a routine are a checklist, either at the beginning or the end of every day. If it's at the end of the end of the day, that's my checklist for the next morning. These are the things that I know I need to do. having one every day. So what are you gonna do? It's too easy to just kind of get sucked into the weeds of scrolling through new listings when, well, I really need to go, call, these 4 people today. And then the other thing is, if you have a buyer, if you have a seller, setting those specific routines for each client. So, if I have a active buyer, that buyer knows, every Friday or every Saturday at this window of time, I'm available for them, and I want them to be available for me. That way, if something comes on the market, we already have a time we're gonna go see it. I don't have to just wait for their call and go and look at it. And then with my sellers, making sure they know what my weekly routine is gonna be for them. So they're gonna hear from me Monday to let them know how the open houses were and the traffic through the weekend. They're gonna hear from me Thursday to let them know what's going on for the coming weekend. And they're gonna hear from me, on Wednesday to let them know, well, what's their online traffic been like? What's the feedback from our listings, from the past week? And just setting those expectations so they know, what you're doing for them, and that gives you your routine for that specific client.
How much time do we got?
You can go a few more minutes if you've got more questions, but then we gotta turn the room over for class at 1.
The other routine I think I would set up for new agents is, I would say, if you're in a brokerage with an office, go to that office. There's agents that are coming in and out of there all the time. Those are gonna be the people that you're gonna learn from. Those are gonna be the people that, you need to interact with. Those are gonna be the people that you can help if they need assistance, as well as them helping you if you need assistance. So, and not being, too shy to say, hey, can I shadow you at an open house? If you're going on an inspection with a buyer, I've never done an inspection before, I'd love to join you. So, just asking those questions and being, just sucking up as much information as you can from those experienced agents that are there doing the work.
Phil, I would add that Vicki Hepner, Heartland Inspections. We also, this is sidebar with inspections, but we offer field training for groups of 5 to 10 new agents to go with us on a mock inspection. So you're not out with a buyer, and we're happy to host those anytime.
Very cool. Well, I'd have one more question for you if there's no other questions, but really with the way the market is kind of changing, it sounds more like that prospecting and being in front of people and going to lunches or cocktails or coffee is a huge part. How often do you think you do that?
Often, it's probably 2 coffees a week and 1 lunch/dinner. Okay, started throwing dinner in there too. Dinner's fancier, so more expensive.
Yeah, I'd say at least twice a week, trying to, connect with somebody, personally. So in-person meeting, just touch base, and not meeting up with them to talk about real estate, just meeting up with them to connect.
I also have done a lot of connecting with lenders, because lenders have their own leads. If you can develop a really good partnership with a lender and work something out that way, that is always really beneficial.
Awesome. I guess one last question I'd have is, I don't know if anyone really cares, but I do. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do love to read a lot of books on real estate as well. Is there any one that you would recommend besides some of the normals that are out there, but that you could kind of attribute that you started doing some of the things they may have mentioned in a podcast or a book that have worked for you?
The most influential book for me has been Ninja Selling. I'm sure, everybody knows it. It talks about the overlap between your work-life balance and how to merge them together and connect with people on that more personal level. And then podcasts, there's so many, but RedX has a podcast. RedX is a platform where you can go and buy very cold leads and then cold call, but they have a lot of trainings on how to convert those leads. And then the classics like Tom Ferry, Ricky Carruth, Glenda Baker is another really good one too. All of those.
I have not read one book on sales. I never have. I tried once, I started, and I couldn't get past the first chapter. So I listen, and as far as podcasts, I don't listen to any real estate podcasts. I'll read the news, I'll listen to, I listen to Marketplace, but I don't read or listen to anything in regards to sales.
You definitely don't need to.
I have a question. So it's kind of like off to the side, but for sale by owners. How do you guys handle that? So I'm dealing with one now, an older man who's moved out. He's gonna put it up for sale, but this is his last hurrah and he wants to get his last dollars. Doesn't wanna, like that of paying a realtor seems like too much. So how would you guys approach that? Yeah, I just let them go ahead and do for sale by
I've done it
owner.
a
I'm
couple-
still here when it doesn't work.
I've done it a handful of ways, and I think a couple times it's worked, a couple times it hasn't, right? Be there as their, I've, kind of advised them as you can, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're holding an open house, great, I'll come and visit you and say hi, or the ones that I've seen are, maybe in my neighborhood, I walk by and I ask them how everything's going, and kind of listen to their stories of woe. And, I think I've converted a couple of those and other, I've seen some of them sell by themselves. I've seen some get picked up by other agents. But I think just, trying to help them, out and, actively look for a buyer for their property and try and bring somebody to it. But
Okay.
Yeah. It's best to try to help them by providing them with good information and maybe a few pointers, but
never too much.
never too much. So you can say I'll let you know when I'm gonna charge for this. So let the cost expectation be there. My services do cost money for a reason. There's a reason you're calling me. Yeah.
Melissa,
Yeah.
have you been to a ninja installation?
Yes.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah. Are you the ninja lady?
No. But I have gone. Do you use their calendar?
I used to. Now I feel like it's just in my blood, so I don't use it as much. Now it's Google Calendar. Easier to maintain dates with other people.
Well, then I guess that wraps it up. So thank you, everyone, for coming.